What's up, everybody? I came across this video of this news anchor and I found it really interesting because the mainstream media is still trying to deny what is so obvious and in front of all of our eyes. Take a look at this.
Well, I have been dealing with a little bit of a health scare. On December 20th, I began to feel chest pains, and they waxed and waned over a period of 10 days. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, but as they continued to get worse, I started to think something was actually wrong. It was December 30th when I finally went to an urgent care and was told I had reflux. I didn't really buy it, but I was relieved it wasn't my heart. The next day, on December 30th, I woke up with severe pains both in my chest and in my left shoulder, and it was like a tightening in my chest when I took deep breaths. That got worse when I was laying flat. I knew enough at that moment to understand that it could mean, could is the key word here, that I was having a heart attack, especially because it was happening in the left part of my shoulder. I want to remind you, I run 7 miles 3 to 4 times a week, or I did. I do yoga. I don't eat meat. I don't smoke. I drink occasionally, not right now, though, because my doctor tells me I can't. Aside from probably not getting enough sleep and working too much, I'm a pretty healthy person. But on that day, I was anything but. My husband drove me to the emergency room, and from there, the nightmare that has been my January began. I was diagnosed with pericarditis, inflammation of the lining of my heart, brought on by a virus, a literal common cold.
No, it's not caused by colds. It's caused by something that starts with a B and rhymes with rooster. I mean, colds have been around forever, and healthy people who exercise rarely, if at all, have heart problems from them. However, there has been an increase in healthy people having heart problems in the last 2 years, and coincidentally, that's when they started pushing these experimental jabs. Yes, experimental. They didn't have enough time to make sure these things were completely safe, which is exactly why there was a loophole that protected them from responsibility if people who took them got injured. Anyway, let's continue with this propaganda.
I also had fluid around my heart that had to be drained, or else it could hinder the beating of my heart. I was hospitalized for 4 nights and transferred from a local hospital to NYU Langone here in New York City. On January 4th, I was finally discharged after doctors drained the fluid around my heart, and I bounced out of the hospital. I couldn't get out of there fast enough with the hopes I was on the mend. But that was not the end. 3 days later, I was readmitted when I felt a flutter in my heart, like a butterfly. It was inside my chest. They determined I had developed myocarditis, inflammation of the actual heart now, the heart muscle. I remember being shepherded through the emergency room and wondering, is this it? It wasn't, thank God. Instead, I spent 5 more days in the hospital where they ran a battery of tests, adjusted my meds, and made sure nothing else was fueling what was happening. And in fact, in the end, it was still just the cold that was doing all of this, that had caused all of this inflammation in and around my heart.
And just in case you were starting to get skeptical, she has to put heavy emphasis on the fact that it was a cold.
Since then, this thing has continued to wax and wane, and the hope is I'm on the mend and on the other side now, but will be on medication for some time to come. It's not the most fun, but alas, I am getting older, and I need to admit that.
On one hand, it is a sad story, but on the other hand, she's one of the talking heads that pushed the very thing that caused her ailment and the ailment of others, and those are also sad stories. Obviously, the jabs don't work. You know what does work? Eating healthy, exercising, getting at least 7 hours of sleep at night, and building natural immunity. And it's a good idea to not use hand sanitizer because it weakens your immune system. It kills both the good and the bad bacteria in your body, and you need the good bacteria to fight off the bad bacteria. And the fact that the mainstream media is not admitting the truth about these jabs and their connection to these ailments is criminal. It's disgusting. It's despicable. I mean, these people in the mainstream media are so cocky, man. They're so arrogant. They think we're all a bunch of idiots. The only idiots are the ones that are taking their shit seriously. Their bullshit propaganda is an insult to people's intelligence, and so many people are getting tired of it. And this is why you don't trust the mainstream media or the government. Always think for yourself and research everything.